get out!
Hello tankers and tankettes, and welcome to another of my replays. Today I'm looking at a match I had with the ARL 44, which is not a tank I've featured greatly. I did a review on it, but I've not had really many or even any replays. I think there was obviously a replay in the review, but I don't think I've done any separate replays so far. Obviously Caption Guy will tell me off if I'm wrong, damn him. But yeah, I thought I'd show you this one because it had an interesting result, and it's also using a gun you don't really see used on the ARL that much, which is the 105mm gun. And it's obviously it's not quite as punchy as say the KV-1S, but it's still pretty damn good for a tier 6 heavy gun. It's certainly better than a lot of the other tier 6 heavy guns around. It's got 165 pen, which is a little better than the M6, not as good as the KV-1S. It's got 300 alpha, and interestingly the premium ammo obviously gets more pen, but the premium ammo actually gets more alpha damage as well. If you're shooting APCR, your alpha goes up to 330 I think, so that's why I've got a comparatively large number of APCR rounds on this, because yes, they're quite expensive, but sometimes they're worth it because you're going to do more damage as well as obviously having more pen. So it's Lakeville. I'm moving into town because with this gun, it's more of a, I wouldn't say it's a brawling gun, but it's a gun where you want to be closer range because it's not massively accurate. It's also got the same long aim time that the long 90mm gun has, so it pays to be a bit closer. Obviously, the closer you are, the more chance there is that you'll get hurt because this thing is not massively well armoured, but the front plate's alright. So there we go. First up is a Hellcat, and that was a low roll. That was a bit unfortunate. That was only 280, but there's you know, there's stuff to shoot there. There's a T25 AT, and if I play my cards right, now I'm not really side scraping here. I'm just kind of reversing up enough that I'm not exposing a lot of my tank. And there we go. That was kind of a lucky shot, but I pulled it off, so that's a top tier tank destroyer down. This KV3 is in our faces, though he's kind of, you know, he's a top tier heavy, but he's gone in alone, and that is bad news for him. So it's not so much, you know, OMG, we've got to take him down before he kills us all. It's more, OMG, I've got to shoot him before everyone else kills him and, you know, steals all the damage. However, that Hellcat has unwisely appeared there, so I'm gonna ninja secure that kill, because a dead Hellcat is, you know, we'd rather that the enemy team had a dead Hellcat than us having a live Hellcat. So back to the APCR, because there's a KV-1S there, and well, even with a regular shell at this point, I could have finished him off, but I didn't know that when I loaded the APCR. And by the time I've reloaded, it's gonna be yeah, there we go. He's burned out. So we've steamrolled the town basically, which means there's probably more tanks in the valley, and you can see there they're getting a bit pressed in the valley. So we gotta clear up this side of the map fairly quickly, and I've only done 816 damage so far, which is not especially impressive. It's a couple of hits. Sometimes this gun's really frustrating, especially when you're shooting at range and you just cannot hit the target. I think it's 0.41 accuracy, and boy does it feel it. That, coupled with the long aim time as well, means it can be a bit frustrating sometimes. It's not the gun I use every time. That's one less tank, that's good. I kind of alternate, like I said in the review video, I switch it up between the guns depending on what I feel like doing on a particular day. Sometimes I use the long 90, sometimes I use this gun, and yeah, that kill's secure. Sometimes I actually use the 90mm F3, which is probably the best all-rounder. It's got only slightly more pen than this, less alpha, but the reload and the aim time and the accuracy are all pretty good on that, so it's the best kind of middle of the road gun for the tank. Anyway, I'm just faffing around at the moment. I was thinking, right, I'll go back to cap, but actually I figured there's enough going back to the cap to actually defend. We've got the remaining tanks bottled up in the valley now, so it's a matter of pinning them in at both ends. So I decide I'm actually going to continue on towards the enemy cap. That was just pure faffage. That was not at all me being organised. I was just being horribly indecisive. So back to the APCR, because there's an IS there, there's also a KV3, and I want to do it's not so much the extra pen I'm loading the APCR for, it's the extra alpha damage, and it's only 30 extra alpha, but you know, why not? in this particular case, especially against the higher tiers, and they've got bigger, heavier guns than I do. So that AC-46 is dead, but there's now 3 enemies plus the arty. So I like our chances. I think we can take them. So that IS is in a bit of a precarious position. He's quite low health. He's died, but I've put another shot into the enemy IS. It's about 1400 damage now, so I'm just reloading. That's the other disadvantage of this gun. It's actually got the longest reload of any of the guns on this tank. I think it's about 9 seconds. Still better than the KV-1S, but it can be a long reload. So just this KV-3 left now. There's also artillery somewhere. And it's just me versus this KV-3. So into the lower front plate. Even though he's at an angle, even though that was regular ammo, I was pretty sure that was going to pen. And he's got the derp gun, so yeah, he wasn't really focusing on me for some reason. He was focusing on the IS. I don't know why, unless he hoped to like ninja one more kill before he got killed himself. There we go. Pointed his gun at me. I got the top gun. The VK very nicely said, let the ARL get a top gun, and very occasionally you'll get people in random battles that will actually hold back from firing to let you get a medal. And I'm just too late to get that 7th kill, but still, I think I would have gotten the KV-3 even if those guys at the front hadn't said, let him get the, And sometimes people say that and other people ignore it, or they don't even understand, or they just ignore it. But in that case, I was able to get the top gun, and that was a nice result. And looking at the scores, it was especially nice because not only did I get the best score, but I actually did the most damage of anyone on the team in the end, 2.3k damage, and that's okay. It's not too shabby for a tier 6. I'm sure you could do better with a KV-1S, but the KV-1S has significantly more alpha damage. It's got nearly 100 more alpha. So for the ARL, for that gun, I think that's a pretty reasonable result. And I thought it was reasonable enough, and the fact that you don't see the ARL played in replays with the 105mm, you don't see that very often. So I thought this was worth showing you guys to just show you what this gun can do, basically. And like I said, it's a better gun at close quarters. If you're having to snipe with this gun, it can be quite frustrating. It really depends on the matchup that you get. It really depends on what the enemy team is composed of. Depends what map you're on. It's a chance. You take a chance every time you start a battle with this gun, or really any gun on the ARL. There are, sometimes you're in the tank and you think, oh, I wish I had, the 90mm F3, or I wish I had the long 90, but instead you've got this thing, or vice versa. It just depends how it works out in any given match. Anyway, if you liked this video, you can hit the like button, you can leave a comment below, you can subscribe to my channel, and of course, as always, stay tuned for more.